we understood the literal definition of Jetpack. So it says that it's basically a library of tools which will help developers to build Android apps by following the best practices as recommended by Google. So this is Jetpack. So why do we need Jetpack, right? We understood what, and we will move on to why. So this Jetpack Compose basically introduced a huge paradigm shift in Android development. So it embraces this concept called as declarative UI. So in traditional Android development, we used to follow something called as imperative approach. We will learn regarding these approaches in the upcoming slides. So what is this imperative UI? So basically imperative UI, you can say that the UI is way too complicated. It involves a lot of moving parts. So to simplify, the UI is coupled with logic and vice versa. Like logic is coupled with UI. So what does it make? So basically it makes the code as inflexible code. So generally in programming terms, we should separate the logic and the front end part separate from each other. That is called as decoupling. So imperative UI does not embrace that concept, which in turn makes the whole code as inflexible, right? So for example, to render a simple list of text on the screen, you will be needing all of these things in the traditional way of building Android apps, which involves recycler view, which requires adapter, and each of these adapters and each of the list item needs something called as view holders. And this is not end. We also need to connect all these pieces together. And to render simple list, it's just a lot, right? So if you did not understand anything from this slide, it's perfectly fine. The slide is designed in such a manner. So to put into the context, like in order to design such a simple app, so basically this is an app which contains a column of text, and each list item contains this text, welcome to Compose Camp. So to build this simple app using the traditional way, that is imperative approach, we need to write something like this. So basically we have something called as text view, which is used to display text on the screen. Since we have 4 text, we will be requiring 4 text views. In order to arrange this in a column format, we need to add the constraints, such as the adding constraints like the way it should be arranged on the screen, right? So we will add constraints, and finally all this code will be put together to form this simple screen. But if you are thinking this is the only code that you need to type in order to achieve that particular screen, well, we have one more file, and this is the Java file, and this is the XML file, right? So in Java file we need to import all the things that we typed in the XML file. And I mean, that's a lot, right? Like just to build a simple app, you're typing a way too much code, right? So this is why imperative approach is way too complicated when compared to the declarative UI. So what is this declarative UI? So this is the concept which is followed by Jetpack Compose. So basically in declarative UI, you just declare or specify what you want. So which makes it simple and efficient, which means that you don't need to type boilerplate code. As we saw earlier, all of these are boilerplate code, right? Like just to style all of this text may look complex, but it's just used to style the text, right? So even though some of them might look repetitive, which makes imperative code inflexible, right? So in declarative UI, since we will just declare what we want to see on the screen, it makes the things simple and efficient. So in turn, it reduces the boilerplate code, right? So as I said earlier, we will just declare. You're declaring code what you want to see on the screen, not describing every step to get a result. So in this, you describe every step, right? Like you wanted to make text look on the screen, so describe something like text view. And the size of the text is something similar to this. And you need to specify the position of the text and so on. So, but in declarative UI, will not declare everything, but you'll just declare what you want, and you will be able to see the thing on the screen. As simple as that, right? So this is what a declarative UI is. So to achieve the same thing, that is this screen, in Jetpack Compose, we just require this small set of small function. It basically we will declare a function called as display text, and inside that, since we want to arrange the text in the column format, we will be writing something called as column, and after that we'll specify the text that needs to be displayed within the column. To specify the text, we'll simply specify this text keyword, and within the small brackets we'll specify the string, and in turn this string will be displayed on the screen, right? So this is the Jetpack Compose way of building things. So let's see the benefits of using Jetpack Compose. So as we saw earlier, when compared to the traditional way of building apps, Jetpack Compose relatively uses lesser code. So you can do more with the less code, right? So which in turn, it avoids a lot of bugs. So which makes code simpler and easier to maintain. So it's intuitive. So we just declare UI. You want column, you just specify the keyword column. You want to display the image on the screen, specify the keyword image, and so on. So it makes Jetpack Compose very intuitive. And since we have to type less code, it basically accelerates the development, right? Which in all of this in turn make Jetpack Compose a very powerful toolkit to build Android apps, right? Okay, now this was regarding Jetpack Compose. Now we'll finally get our hands dirty with some code. So we will be building this app called as Swigato. And in that, the UI looks something like this. And today we will be building this same UI. Okay, let's get started. Okay, uh, so this is the basic project. But by default, we will not be getting this sort of screen. Basically, we will get one window where it has some option called as new project. So first you click on this new project, and inside that new project, you click on this empty compose activity. So first you need to name your application here, Swigato, and make sure that the Kotlin language is selected. So what is this minimum SDK? So as we know, there are several Android devices. So each of them might run different versions of Android, right? So basically, by specifying the Android version, you'll be able to know like the component which are access. Right? So this was regarding how to create a new project, and then you press on this button, finish. So it takes some time. Yeah. So what is this Gradle project? So it's basically a toolkit that allows you to build Android apps in an automated fashion, right? Okay, some processes are running. Yeah. So before we move on to the actual code, first we will understand this default code, right? Okay, there's this class called as main activity, which is inserted in the Kotlin file named as main activity. So just a minute. Yeah, worry regarding the parameters and all. Just know that this function will be called initially while during the initial phase of the app building. So it has something called as set content. So this will set content on the screen. So here we have something called as Swigato theme. So basically it contains all the default stylings that are available on the default themes that are provided by the Jetpack Compose, right? Okay, just a minute. I think they should take the time. Yeah, close it and reopen. Mm, we named our project as Swigato, right? Yeah, we'll open it in a new window. Okay. We'll try to build this project. So here we have something called as a function, which is marked with the annotation composable. So what does this composable annotation mean? So I think we have some problem. Yeah, just a minute. Okay. Okay, there's some problem with Android Studio. We will go with this basic project that is similar to the project we have created earlier. Even this involves the default code. So yeah, as I said earlier, even it contains this onCreate function, and this setContent function is used to set the content on the screen. And within the set content, we will be using the default themes provided by the Jetpack Compose, and it has something called as surface. So before moving on to that, we will see what is this. Okay, so here we have a function called as greeting. So it takes a parameter called name, which is of type string. So after taking the parameter, in order to display the same on the screen, we will be using something like the text composable. So one more thing, what is this composable annotation? So basically, we are saying to the Kotlin that this is not your usual function. So this is your composable function. These composable functions, it describes the UI on the screen, right? So it is quite different from the your usual functions. So you can call only the composable functions within another composable function. As I said earlier, this greeting is a composable function, and we should call only the composable function within another composable function. If you hover over this text, as you can see, even this text is a composable function, right? Okay, this was regarding the basics. Okay, now we shall start building the app. Okay, before, okay, I will select this whole thing, remove the comments, and this set content. Okay, just a minute. Set content is here. Okay, I'll cut this whole thing. Then I'll remove this uh, composable function. To declare a composable function, you will start with the @ symbol and then type this keyword composable. Then I will say something like my app. Okay, within this my app, I'll be passing some parameter called as content. So since this parameter content will be of the type composable, I'll specify that this parameter type will be of the type composable. So if you remember, we can pass functions as a parameter, right, to the Kotlin functions. So that is what I'm doing here. So composable. So I'm basically passing a parameter of the type composable, which returns unit. Unit means the function is returning nothing, right? So this is how you specify the content or the parameter. So after receiving the parameter content, we call this content function. Since it is a function, we can call this, right? So this is how you set up the things. Okay. So now, since I want to display my app on the screen, I need to call this my app function within this set content. So if you see, the Android Studio is already suggesting things. Okay, this is how you build things, right? So first we'll create something called as home screen. So before that, there's nothing, right? Like we haven't created anything like the home screen, right? So first we need to create a folder. So in fancy terms, we call it as package. So where's this? Yeah, package, and name it as screens. So within this screen, I'll create something called as the Kotlin class or Kotlin file. So home screen. So this is our home screen. Within this home screen, we will be writing the code that will be displayed on our screen, right? So now I shall type this composable keyword again. So if you see, as soon as I type this composable keyword, necessary libraries are imported automatically, right? So this was regarding composable. Yeah, just a minute. Yeah. Okay. Now I'll declare something like, I'll declare a function called as home screen, which are images. So if you see here, we have a lot of images, right? So this is our home screen. Since we have a lot of images, we will be passing the images as a list of parameters. Or maybe you can say it as, we will be passing the image as a list of images, right? Okay, this images list will be of the type list. So for now, I'll just specify it as integer. We'll later know like why it is integer. So now I'll create a mutable list. So by default, I will just pass an empty list. Okay. Okay, this is how I declare things. So since it's an empty list of integer, I specify it as integer, right? So before moving on further, okay, we need to find these images, right? So in order to find or fetch the images, we will go to the resources. We should acquire the resources, which is present in this GDSC repository, which has something called as Vegato resources. And in this, we should download the file, download zip. And after downloading the zip, you'll be able to see this resources folder, which has this set of images, right? So this is how you fetch the images. So in order to add this images to our project, we must import it. So to import the images to hello,
Manjunath,
yeah,
hello. I'm so sorry for interrupting, but there's a doubt in the chat box.
okay,
They're asking what is mean composable?
which one? Uh,
Yeah,
composable, the
yeah.
keyword.
The
Just
keyword mean composable, or is it just
okay, okay.
composable?
Yeah, so basically, composable are the building blocks of the Android app in Jetpack Compose. So as I said earlier, if you see this, just a minute. If you go to the slides, yeah. So yeah. So as I said earlier, if you want to specify something like column, you specify it as column, right? So this thing column or this keyword column is called as composable. So this will be, displayed on the screen, right? So text is also a composable, which is displayed on the screen. So basically composable is like, the things that should be displayed on the screen. They're the building blocks of this Android apps that is built using Jetpack Compose. I think that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Okay. We need to import the images to our project, right? So to import the images to our project, we will be using something called as resource manager. So click on this plus icon and here press import drawables. So here I have resources. These are not okay, just a minute. Hmm, just going to copy this resources path. Then I'll click again here and I'll press on this import drawables. Since I copied the resources path folder, I just paste it here. Yeah, if you see now it is visible. So we need to import all these images. So I'm pressing shift button. I think all the images will be stacked. After selecting all the images, click on OK. So if you see all the images has been imported to our project. So I will click import. Then import, yeah. So our images has been imported to our project. So coming back to this home screen. So as I said earlier, we need to this home screen will be, the first screen that will be displayed when you open the app, right? So we need something to draw things on the screen. In Compose, we have something like surface. So basically, what is the surface? So surface is nothing but it basically provides a surface where we can draw things. So as simple as that. So we'll cancel all this stuff. Yeah. So after this surface, okay, if you now come to this, we had something like surface right earlier. So that is what surface is. So basically it is used, it provides a surface where we can draw things. Okay, before we build this Android app or home screen, we'll first, write the list of images in this main activity. So to do that, we need to create a list. We create this list on the main activity class, in the main activity class. So has something like val images list, which will be of the type mutable list of integers. So why did I write it as integer? Even though the images are of the format, JPEG, PNG or whatever, but I am here specifying it as integer. So what happens is when you import these images, this Android Studio will assign, integer to each of these images. So we'll be basically accessing these images via that unique integer assigned to each of the images, right? So all of these images are basically integer. So I will specify this. Okay, to in order to, okay, within this small brackets, I will specify the images. So I'll go like R. So R specifies the resource, which is, in short, we specify it as R, and we have something like drawable. And after that, we will be able to access these images. So first we will import all the pizza images, pizza one. So just copy paste this whole thing. Then I paste here. Okay, after each item, you should add commas, right? So we have pizza 2, then we have pizza 3, then we have pizza 4, then we have pizza 5, yeah, then we have one more pizza 6. Yeah, that's it. Then next we have something like breakfast images. We'll import those images. Again, I'll copy paste this whole thing. But I will remove this pizza tag or word. Then I'll type breakfast. I have imported this breakfast to image. Then copy this. After breakfast 2, breakfast 4, breakfast 5. I think we are done with breakfast. Yeah. So next we have something like burgers, right? Burgers, yeah. Burger 2, yeah, that's it. So we finally have to import these things, fries, taco. Yeah. We will import that things, yeah. Drawable, we have something like fries. Then we have like sushi, yeah. And finally we have taco. So I think we have imported all the images into our code. So we can close this tab. So this is how we import our images. First you click on this resource manager, you click on this plus icon, and we'll import the images. And to specify these images in your code, we'll be using this r.drawable and specify the images name, right? So this is how import images. So as I said earlier, this home screen will take a parameter called as images list, which is of the type images, right? Or list of integers. So we will be passing this. So first we'll, so since it is a composable, we can call this within the my app. As I said earlier, composable functions can be called within the composable functions. Even this my app is composable, so we will be able to call another composable within this. So I called composable. So we need to specify images list. So this is the parameter name or the argument name, and this is the name of the list, right? Images list. Yeah, we have passed the images list onto the home screen. So first, we create things. Okay, surface. As I said earlier, the surface needs to take up the whole screen, right? So we need to modify the surface. So basically, there's something called as modifier, which allows us to modify the default stylings that has been provided by compiler. So here we will use something like max size. So it will occupy the entire screen, right? Okay, next we have, if you see this, yeah, if you see the screen, you can assume this whole thing as a column, and this column has variety of items, right? The search bar and this moving tiles, and then we have categories and foot of the day, and so on, right? So we need to specify this column. Okay, within the column, we have something like, first thing we have is search bar, right? But since we haven't created any search bar, we need to create the thing first. Okay, I will again create one package named as widgets, and within this widgets I'll create a Kotlin file named as search bar. So this was the how to create packages. So after you create this package, first you need to create a composable function, right? So to specify that, you use this composable keyword. Then we'll specify the name of the function. I'll say it as search bar. I'll open the curly braces. So here we will be using something like another composable called as card. So what is this card? So basically, just like the surface, we get to know. Okay, just a minute. For now, we'll get to know what is this card when when you see the output. Okay, before we move on further, we need to modify this card. So we will specify. So as I said earlier, this modifier will be used to modify the default stylings that will be provided by the Jetpack Compose, right? So what is this padding? So this padding we will use to add the white spaces. So if you see the output, so there are some white spaces, right? Like around the search bar. So we'll be using padding to add those white spaces. So I specify it as 20 units. So instead of units, I'll specify something like dB. So this is the units that is used by Android. So we need to import this. I'll click on Alt Enter. Yeah, dB has been imported. So within this, after specifying the padding, so basically modifier, as I said earlier, it is used to modify things, right? So what is this modifier? This whole thing, it's an object. So since it's an object, we have access to various functions. So we'll write this down. Yeah, we have one more function called as height. Height. I'll specify something like 50 dot dp. Then I'll specify the width, but instead of specifying the width in units, I'll specify it as fill max width. So it basically occupies the entire thing or entire space available to it on the screen. So this was regarding the things that we need to modify. So within this card, we need to have some content, right? Again, I'll call this column function. Okay, there's some error. Yeah, I think, okay, we should import it. Yeah. Okay, here in this column, if you remember the output screen, we have something like a text, right? So which specifies search. So we need to import this text too. So make sure to import this text. We are the first one, that is android.compose.ui. Yeah, this is text. And if you see, the text has been arranged, in the center of the screen, right? Or the center of the search bar. So in order to align the text to the center of the screen or the center of the search bar, we have something like vertical arrangement. So this vertical arrangement says how to arrange things vertically in the column. So in order to specify the arrangement in the center, we have something like arrangement dot center. So after this, we need to specify how to align the contents of the column horizontally also, right? So for that, we have something like horizontal alignment. which says horizontal alignment, which since we want the text in the center, we have something like alignment dot center horizontally. So if you want to see the preview of this whole thing, you have to use this one more annotation called as preview. So it's rendering the search bar. Okay, to recap, we created a function called as search bar, and again we have something like a card, and within that we modified few things regarding the card, and within that we have something called as column. Then we need to okay. Since this just a minute, yeah, it's rendering the views. We have some problem here. Yeah, okay, since this the whole search bar has some shadows, we need to specify the elevation also, right? So we will be specifying this elevation in dp shape. Since we want to add the rounded corners, we have something like rounded corner shape. Specify the radius of the borders within this, yeah, dp. Now if you run this, I think it should work. Okay, we'll try to call this function within this search bar. Okay, yeah, here we need to specify my app or home screen, I guess. Yeah, we have something like, okay, we need to specify the home screen. Yeah, that is why it's not showing. Yeah, we specify, since we want to preview the home screen, we will be specifying this, but there's some error, right? Since there's nothing called as images list within this function, we need to copy paste this whole thing. Okay, now we'll try to do the same. Yeah, now, yeah, so this is how you preview things. So this preview is way faster than instead of like building the whole app from scratch, just use a single change, right? So we have built our search bar, but if you see, there's some changes, right, when compared to this search bar. So we need to add some styling to the text. In order to do that, we have something like style. In that, I have something like material theme, typography dot, I'll say h5. Yeah, even here previews appearing. Yeah, if you refresh this, you'll be able to see the changes. As simple as that. As soon as you make the changes will be reflected in this preview panel, right? So we have created our search bar. So next we need to create this tiles, right? But we will not create this since it involves quite a bit, few of composables. So instead we'll create this categories panel or the categories row, right? Okay, now we have to create. So before moving on to the code part, if you see one thing, this whole image is kind of repetitive, right? This image is appearing here, and even it is appearing here, and even in the first row of images, right? So we can create one more composable called as foot tile within this widgets. I create like foot tile. So after creating the foot tile, we'll define the composable function. I'll name it as foot tile. I'll pass a modifier of the type modifier. Then since I will be able, I'm seeing to reuse this whole composable, I will be passing the images, right? Since this image is of the type integer, I'll specify something like image ID as a parameter, which is of the type integer. Okay, within this, since I want to draw something, I'll again use this surface. And you can clear all of this stuff, yeah. So within the surface, I will be modify. Since I'm passing a modifier of the parameter, I will be using this modifier only, right? Okay, this is the modifier. Then, since if you observe, all of the images has some, rounded corners, right? So we need to specify those using the rounded column shape composable or property. Yeah, I specified as something like 10.dp. Yeah, this is regarding surface. So within the surface, we need to have images, right? So make sure to import this image, the first one. So it has two parameters, right? So this painter is so basically takes a parameter. It adds something like ID. So we have this content. This content discusses something like H4 or H5 maybe. Yeah, H5. Then I'll add some padding, or you can say as like some white space around the text. Padding like around. I don't want to add padding to all the sides. I just want to add padding to the starting of the text. If it is not clear, so if you go through this pic, there's some white space, right, between the text and the screen. So that is what I'm trying to add here. So we need to import this. Okay, we have some error. Modifier, since I want to add padding. Yeah, padding, start 10.dp. Okay, what is that error? Yeah, okay, we need to import this text, right? So that's why I'm getting this error. Yeah, import the text. No error. Okay. Yeah, yeah, missed on colon or in small bracket. Okay, next we'll move on to this. We have created this. So if you will see the preview later. So I want to add space between the the images and text, right? So I'll be using the composable called as spacer. We need to first import it. Press an Alt Enter. So I will add the modifier. I'll just specify the modifier object. Here I specify the height. It basically says, it says the amount of space that you want between the text widget and the row of images. So I specify something like 10 dp. Yeah. Okay. After that, we need to create a row of images, right? Okay. For that, I will be creating one more function called as foot category within the same file. Foot category. Yeah, even this takes a parameter of the type images list. So I'll copy paste this whole thing here also. Yeah. So since we want to display the images in a row format, I'll be using something like row. But there's one problem here. If you use the normal row provided by the Compose, it makes things difficult as the number of images increases. So if you specify these rows, you need to specify the all the images during the build process itself. So if the number of images is dynamic, should use something like lazy row. Yeah. Within this lazy row, we have something like items. So make sure to import these items. So here we will be passing this list, images list. Okay, now we will write the driving lambdas. Yeah, right. So remember we have created this foot tail. So I will be calling this foot tail within this lazy row. So it has this, two parameters, modifier and the image ID. Since I want to modify few of the parameters, I will specify this modifier object. So I set the image. So basically I'm setting the image size here. So I specify something like 100.dp. So this size function basically sets both width and height of the image, right? So it will basically be a square image. So image ID, since we are passing the image, we can access the items of the image using this parameter called image. Yeah, here I'll pass the image. Yeah, if you run the code now, yeah, if you see the preview. And now we shall refresh this. Okay, we just have this categories. Okay. We'll try to build the app. Main activity, yeah. So yeah, the Gradle build is running. Yeah, home screen we have inserted the images. Okay, we forgot to call the image, right? So that's why we are not able to see the image rows of images. So here I'll call the food category composable. It expects a parameter of the type images list, and I'll specify the arguments here. So for now, I'll just close this emulator. Yeah, minimize this. Yeah, images list. So now I think we should be able to preview things. Yeah, if you refresh this, you should be able to see the row of images. Yeah, the Gradle build is running. Okay, we have some error, I guess. Okay, now we shall run the same in the emulator. Here we should be able to see the thing, row of images. Yeah. So if you see, you're seeing this row of images, right? And even it is scrollable. So that's it. But we need to style these things. So yeah, resize this whole thing. So next we need to style the things, right? So again, I need to specify the padding. Padding, I'll specify something like for start, I will just add some 10 dp. Then for the top, I'll add like 15 dp. Yeah. So okay, I think we should specify this padding thing here, the lazy row, right? Yeah. After specifying the padding, we should be able to see ample amount of space between each of the image. So to make things look better, I'll just move on to move all of this to the next line. Yeah, now things are looking great. Yeah. So now if you go back, if you rebuild this, you should be able to see some space between the images. Till the build runs, we will move on to the next function. Okay, next up we have something like the food of the day, right? So for that, Just a minute. Okay, we'll create one more composable called as foot of the day. So even this expects a parameter of the type images list. So we'll just copy paste this whole thing here. Yeah. So in this foot of the day tile, even this is a row of text, right? Row of images. So I'll specify the lazy row. And I'll open the curly braces. Within this curly lazy items or lazy row, I'll use these items. And I'll pass this images list. I will be able to access the images. The image, each of the images will be stored in this image variable. So here, if you see, there's something like there's not a simple image. The image is within something like it looks like something like a card, right? So we'll be specifying this card composable. So before that, we need to import it. Yeah. After importing card, you should modify the default styling. Specify the height to be around 220 dp. After that, I'll be specifying like the padding. Okay, we should not use commas. Yeah, padding like 8 dp. So after that, in order to put shadows, I will be specifying the elevation, which is around 5 dp, and shape in order to make it rounded corners. And this is around 10 dp, right? Okay, now we should specify the things that should be displayed within the column, right? So here I specified the foot tail, which again expects a type modifier. Okay, here I'll modify a few things like padding 10.dp. And again, to make things look better, I'll move on to the next line. Yeah, yeah. Padding. I'll move this parameter to the next line. So next up, we have something like the width, right? You should specify the width of the image. So it's something like 150.dp. For height, we can keep like maybe 130. Yeah. So this is how you specify the foot tail, the modify the default styling of the foot tail composable, right? So after specifying the foot tail, we have some text, right? So for that, we'll be using the text composable. So the whole thing, yeah. Since this whole thing is wrapped, looks like a list of items inside a column, we should specify all the things within a column. So before that, I will specify the column. Within this column, I will insert this foot tail composable also, right? Yeah. Okay. This is our foot tail. So next, I'll be specifying the text, which has something like pizza one, I guess. Yeah. Pizza one. Next, we have to style the text. Typography dot it's 6. This is the size, and then again I'll specify the text, which will be basically the price of the pizza. So specify something like $9. Then again I'll change the text style to captions, right? Yeah. So this is the foot of the day. Now we shall call this foot of the day here. So before that, we need to add some spacing, right? Okay, I'll copy paste this whole thing, and here we have something like foot of the day. So instead of categories, I will type it as foot of the day. And here, since we have a larger text, go like maybe H2. Yeah, H2. We will also make this text a bit bold. So to specify the boldness of the text, we will be using something like font weight bold. So now if you see this, as I said earlier, padding will be added to the between the images, right? So if you refresh this whole thing, you should be able to see things. Yeah, the text is a bit large, but it's fine. We can change that. Yeah, we should change things in home screen. We will go like, H4 maybe. Yeah. Okay, before we come back to this preview panel, we will be passing the parameter images list. Yeah. So this is the name of the argument and this is the name of the list, right? So now if you see or rebuild this whole thing, you should be able to see the changes. Okay, to recap, just a minute. Yeah. Now things are looking pretty good. But I don't think we are able to see the image here, right? So we'll try this in the emulator. Are we displaying the images? Okay, we're not displaying the images, right? So we are not able to see images. So to change that, we'll again go back to the images. We should be able to see these images, yeah. We rebuild this whole thing. Okay, we are not able to see the images, right? Okay, to change that, okay, let's try something here. So you need to arrange the images, right? Vertical arrangement dot top. Next we have something like horizontal alignment dot center horizontally. So within that we have specified a foot tail. We have specified the spaces. Okay. Then we have something like text. Okay, the reason, yeah. I think we should add this whole thing within another column. So now if you see, let's check the preview again. The build is running. Let's wait for a couple of seconds. The card is appearing, but we are not able to see the images, right? Okay, let's leave it. We will tackle it at the end. Okay, next up we have something like today's special, right? Okay, are we passing the images? Yeah, just a minute. To the list of int. I'm passing the foot of the day. Yeah, we'll tackle this at the end. We'll just comment it out. Okay, next up we have something like foot of the data. Okay, we have something like pizzas, right? Yeah. So to specify the pizzas, we just create one more function called as pizza row. One more composable, right? Yeah, pizza row. So here again, I will expect the parameters of the type images list. I'll be passing this whole thing. So since it's just a row of images, I'll use something like lazy row. Yeah. Within this lazy row, I'll be specifying the items. Make sure to use these items, which takes list as a parameter, images list. Yeah. So to access each images, I'll be using this image variable. So within this image variable, after this, I'll be passing the foot tail. So before we modify things, let's pass the image. Yeah. So here, since the pizza looks, pizza is of the shape round, we should make the whole image look it in the rounded shape, right? So for that, we should modify things. So first I will modify the size. Then again, I'll modify something like padding. Then finally, to change the whole thing, or the shape of the image, I'll do something like flip. And within this flip, since I want the shape of the image to be circle, I'll pass something like circle shape. Yeah, you should improve this thing, I guess. Yeah. After importing, we should be able to see the pizza rows. Let's check it out. Okay, now if you rebuild this whole thing, you should be able to see the images of pizza, right? Okay, I think we are not able to see images only. Let's stop this. Okay, we have not passed images, right? Yeah. So I'll pass the images. Now we should be able to see the images of the pizza. Yeah. Okay. Pizza row. Yeah, we are seeing the images, right? So this is the hmm. So size, I think we should style it a bit, but we will style it now. Yeah, just a minute. So we have something like 130.bp. 130.bp. Yeah. Now let's check it again. Okay, it looks similar to what we expected, but it's not the final look. So we have things working. We'll modify it in the later part, right? So next we have something like okay, categories, right? Okay. So if you see, the images are looking repetitive, right? So for that, we need to pass only a specified part of the list as a parameter to the composables. So to specify that, instead of passing the whole list, I'll just pass few of the items from the list. So for this food category, I'll just pass items from, I'll just pass sublist starting from item 6 to 10. Why 6 to 10? So if you see, item 6 to 10 contains this breakfast items, right? 6 to 10. So we pass that, and then again for this which one? Yeah. Next we have something like food category, right? Yeah, just a minute. Food category. Yeah, we have something like pizza row. So if you see, we need to pass sublist of from starting from I think 0, I guess. Yeah, 0 to 6. So now if you build this app, you should be able to see only those set of images. So let's see what happens. Gradle build is running. So basically we just passed only a sublist of images from the past list, right? So now you are able to see only the pizza images, right? Yeah, cool. Okay, one more thing we forgot, like why we are not able to see the pizza images in round shape. So the thing is, in the foot tail, we need to crop the images. So we have something like content scale dot crop. So this will basically fill the image to form the shape of the container or the surface. Now it should work. So if you refresh this whole thing, the images will look uniform, I guess. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, now things looks pretty, decent, right? So yeah. So next up we have something like so let's run this. Next we have categories, right? For even for categories, we just need to pass few of the images, right? So for that, I will be passing the images from I think 10 to 14, I guess. Categories, I will be passing images from 10 to 14. Yeah, it was 10 to 14. And now if you build this app, or instead of building the whole app, we'll just see the preview. So if you see this preview, you should be able to see only the particular set of images has been passed to the composite, right? So in the parallel, we will build this app also. Yeah. The preview is being rendered. I think it's taking considerably large amount of time, right? Yeah. Yeah. Now I think it looks kind of similar to the app that we have in the PPT. Yeah. Cool there. Then we have something like I think we need to check this. So we are done with this and this. So we are done with this and this, right? We need to build these two things, and we're also done with this search bar, right? So next up, we have to build this. We need to check this. Yeah, we'll check this. Now, if you refresh this whole thing, I think now we should be able to see the images of the food. If for some reason the images of the food is not appearing, okay, we will look it at the end. Okay, we'll just comment over this whole thing. Food of the day, right? Past items. Okay. Okay. Next, we will be building something like this. Today's special. Yeah. This row of images. For that, we'll be creating one more composable called as composable function. Today's special. So here also we will be expecting list of images, which is type integer. So within this, so if you see, it's basically like a card, but in like over this image, we have something like this, right? Like a red banner thing, and we have some text over that red banner, right? So in order to achieve this, we have something like box composable, which allows you to stack composables upon one another, right? So for that, since it's a row of images, I'll be using lazy row. So within this lazy row, I'll specify the items which takes of this type list. Here I will specify the images list. So within this images list, I'll access each of the images using this image parameter. And so since I said we're going to stack composables upon one another, we will be using this another composable called as box. And within this, I'll be specifying the foot tail. So it expects two parameters of the type modifier. So here I'll modify the width. I'll specify it as 330.dp Then height we can have something like 220. Then we have to specify the padding also. So we will go like add 8 dps of padding at the start, and then at the end add 6 dp of padding, right? So after specifying all this, we will specify the shadow also. So even this shadow takes a parameter of the type dp. So first we need to import it. Yeah, 10.dp. Okay, we have some error, I guess. Yeah, imported. Okay, now we should specify the image. So now if you run this, you should be able to see the, okay, we need to call, right? Okay, I will call this today's special uh, after the pizza roll. Mm, okay, now I will refresh this whole thing. Now I should be able to see the set of images after the pizza roll. Okay, let's try again. Let's build this app. So if you see, yeah, just a minute. Okay, we need to pass the images, right? So that's why it's displaying empty list. Images list. So here also we'll be passing just a set of images, not the entire list. For that, I think we should be passing images from, yeah, 61 to, I think from 7 to 11, I guess. Yeah, let's see. 7 to 11. Now we should be able to see the images on the screen. Let's see the preview. Yeah, it is being rendered. Yeah, the images has appeared, right? Cool then. Okay, now we need to create that red banner thing, right? So to do that, we need to specify something like a card, which so this is where the foot tile ends. So after this, I'll be specifying the calling composable called as card. So which will be used to create a red banner. So I will be modifying a few of the parameters. Modifier dot maybe padding. So specified as 10.dp. Then we need to align things, right? So we specify like alignment dot bottom start. Then we have to specify the width of the banner, right? So we specify like around 312 or 310 dp. Yeah. So this is how you modify the default parameters. Now I need to make this whole banner in the rounded shape, right? So specify this, and I'll specify the radius. Then after this, I'll be specifying the background color, right? So to background color, I will be using this red color, but I want to make it a little, opaque, right? So little transparent, yeah. So in order to do that, I need to get the default red color and copy the red color and modify few of the things. So alpha is used to adjust the transparency. I will specify something like 0.7f. So it's basically like 70% of the original red color, right? So first you need to import this color thing. Yeah. Make sure to import it from this compose. So within this card, we need to have some text. For now, I'll just say like deals up to 50-60% off. Yeah. For styling, I will use something like material theme dot typography dot something like h6, and you need to specify the color of the text, right? So for that I'll use white. Yeah. So now I think things should work. Yeah, this must be capital, right? Yeah. Now if you refresh this whole thing, you should be able to see this. Let's run the app again. Yeah, the preview has been rendered. So if you check the app, you should be able to see something similar to this. So let's see what happens. Yeah, we were able to achieve this whole thing. But if you see, this whole thing comes before the categories, right? So we should, rearrange the whole thing. We'll just call this today's special before after search bar. Yeah. Again, you should run the app. So yeah. Okay, now we will. I think we are almost done with the whole app. We are done with the search bar. We are also done with this, and we are done with the categories and foot of the day. We need to specify or modify this. We will look into it, and we are also done with pizzas. But we need to insert this text, right? Pizzas, and add some spacing between various row of images. So to add that, I'll be using something like spacer. Yeah, spacer. I'll add it here also. Yeah. Foot of the day. I think we can remove this burger image. Yeah. What other is? We can start from 11, I guess. So after search bar, we need to have some space, right? Yeah, we have some space. So after this food category, we have some space. Then after this, so before foot of the day type, we have also have some space. So I think, yeah, let's see. So the app is being built. If you see the preview, okay, I think we have more space here, right? Yeah. I think we can remove this whole space. Again, if you rebuild the whole app, you should be able to see things. Let's see. Yeah. So to see this lazy row foot of the table, now we shall debug this foot of the day composable. So before that, we shall check whether everything looks fine. So we only need to complete this foot of the day. Yeah, if you see, we are passing this images list, and we are using this lazy row, and within that we are using something like items which expects say parameter of type images list. We are also passing that. Okay, then something like card. Okay, here also you are modifying things. Okay, then you are using columns. Since we have 3 items, like we need to have food image and the name of the food, and finally the price of food, right? So we are using column. Here also everything's looking fine. Okay, now let's run it again. Yeah, I have passed image also. Let's run it again. Here I'll comment this. So I rebuild this whole app. So if you see now, it should work fine. Okay. If for some reason this fruit is not appearing, let's try to this. Yeah. Okay. For now, we'll just remove this whole thing called composable, and I'll copy paste it somewhere else. Yeah. Now we shall just check whether the images is being displayed correctly. So for that, I will just use the foot tile modifier. Just pass the default modifier. So for image ID, I pass the image. Okay, now let's run the app again. So if you see the pizza images is being crushed, right? It's not at all appearing in the round shape. Yeah, the foot of the day is working fine, but we have some problem with this, the lazy row thing, I guess. Yeah, let's look into it. So as I said earlier, the pizza row is not appearing, right? It is due to the fact that the amount of content which is present in the screen is way too much for a single screen to handle. So we need to have something like scrollability, right? So in order to add this scrollable behavior to the home screen, we have something like column, right? So within this column, I'll add the scrollable behavior. So to add that, we have something like modifier. We need to modify the behavior, right? Modifier dot vertical scroll, and here we need to specify one more function called as remember scroll state. Now if you rebuild this whole app, I think you should be able to see the pizza images. Yeah, we shall see this. Yeah, now we shall specify the modify the styling of this. So I'll specify the size as like okay, we'll specify the width. Okay, we specify the width as it's like just a minute. Yeah, 150.dp. Then what is the height? Okay, I think this is the reason we are not able to see the whole thing. Yeah, padding we have added it as around 130 dp. Yeah. So if you cancel it out, yeah. Yeah, this is the thing. What is this? We have some error, I guess. Okay, it's not able to access these images. Yeah, we remove this parameter, right? Yeah, now I think things should work fine. Yeah, let's see. Okay, the images are appearing fine, but we need to specify only a list of like only the particular set of images, right? Okay, just a minute. Oh, I think I modified this pizza. Yeah. Okay, we need to modify this food of the day, right? Okay, now let's run it again. Okay, did we call this food of the day? Yeah, I have called it. Image, okay. Okay, we're not still able to see this whole image, right? Okay, we should remove this padding, make it as 10. Yeah, now we can finally see these images. So column. Yeah, we should specify this. But we are not able to see the text also we are seeing, but the size of the card is not enough to hold the text. So we need to specify the height of the card, right? Height we shall make it as around 230. Yeah, now we are able to see this text. Padding we shall reduce it to 5. So now let me check the height. So for the foot of the day we have something like 220 dp. Yeah. Okay, now we are almost going to the final design. Okay, then we have something. Okay, we need to modify a few of the things here. Column. Since we want to text both of the, center both of the text, we need to modify the arrangement of the text. Arrangement dot center. Then we have something like horizontal alignment. Alignment dot center horizontally. Yeah, now if you remove this text, let's see. Now you should be able to see the text beneath the image. Okay, it's probably due to the padding, I guess. Card modifier. Let's try to increase the size a bit. We'll remove this text and I'll add beneath this. So let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. Now I got it. So we shall, you see, the text is not being displayed. It is due to the fact that the size of the images is quite big when compared to the text. So if you see, the text is being displayed only in some of the tiles, right? So we'll just pass the images of pizza. I think the images of pizza starts from 1 to 6, I guess. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, foot of the day, right? Mm, here we have, we just pass images from, which is the image. Mm, just a minute. Yeah, you need to just pass the images of pizza, right? So we'll pass from uh, sublist from 1 to 6. Okay. So now we shall rebuild this app. So the app is being rebuilt. Yeah, let's see. I think we should have passed images from 0 to 6. Yeah, it doesn't matter. For day, we have the modified few of the things, and when we are passing the image, then this column is not required, right? So we shall remove this column. Yeah, since we have modified few of the things, we need to run it again. So if you see text is being shown, right? You just need to change the type of the images. So that's it. Again, you might change the width, maybe like 180. Yeah. So to give final touch to the app, we shall add some spacing between various rows of images. I think we are pretty much done with it. Yeah. Here we need to specify the text, right? So I specify it like text. Specify it as pizzas. Since we are displaying row of pizzas. So now if I build this whole app again, we should be able to see the thing. Okay, I think we are pretty much done with the entire app. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the search bar and this is the foot of the day tile. This is the today's special tiles and this is the categories and this is the foot of the day and finally we have pizzas. So that's it. And I think you can style this whole thing. So this will be the assignment. You should style things in such a way that it should be able to match this whole spacing and a padding. Yeah. So that's pretty much it for this session.
Thank you, Manjunath. The attendees may now clarify their doubts either by turning on their mics or by putting them in the chat box. If there are no doubts, then we'll continue. The next session will be held soon. So follow us on Instagram and join our Discord server for more updates. The entire code will be updated to the GitHub repo, and we insist everyone go through the code and start building the app. If you encounter any difficulties or errors, feel free to ask us in the Discord server, and we will clarify your doubts. Okay, and before we conclude this session, I request everyone to give us your valuable feedback, suggestions, or your thoughts on how we can improve it and everything. It's welcome by doing so and filling the Google form, which will be provided in the chat box soon. Thank you, everyone.